Live.
I'll cut it out if I hear it.
That's all right. We're not gonna blackmail you.
Yeah, that's something that I've thought a lot about is who you take advice from. So you have the artistic side, and you can take artistic advice from anybody that you align with artistically. But on the business side, like who you're taking advice from, the life they live has to align with the life that you want to live. If you're taking advice, if you're in my situation, okay, I'm married, I have 4 kids, I like to sleep in my own bed at night. If I'm taking business advice from people that are doing destination weddings all the time and they're going all these different places or whatever, I'm going to build a business that I'm going to hate, and it's not going to serve me, and it's going to make me miserable. It's going to make my family miserable. If I'm following business advice from people whose work is artistically what I want to do, but they're terrible business people, I'm going to end up broke and miserable. So figure out what your long-term goals are. Like, what do you want photography and your business to bring you long-term? And then you got to work backwards to that. And if you don't do that, you're going to find that you've built this entire machine that pisses you off and you're miserable constantly.
What an intro. Is that our small talk?
That was very good, actually.
That was the best small talk segment that we've ever had.
Well, welcome to Focus AF. I'm Jen.
This is Ro.
This is Ben.
I'm Karis.
We always go different ways there.
I know, that's fine. But I think,
We're
Nathan, you can
vibing
reintroduce yourself again because now you are an honorary member.
Yeah, we had a bonus.
Two episodes.
We let you talk before we introduced you.
That's a good point. I'm Nathan.
Nathan Dash, shoot with me, and I think is it Nathan Dash Photography as well?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So so he's back for round 2 with us. Just gonna hang out with us for a little bit while we talk about what are we going to be talking about today, Jen?
The state of the industry in a post-COVID world.
What a great segue that I
Yes,
did for you guys.
Your long COVID brought us right into it.
Yeah. So what was the impetus for today's discussion?
I think multiple things.
Yeah.
Both personally and within having conversations with people in the industry about how their booking rates are going, how the flow of inquiries are going, and kind of coming off that post-wedding rush of COVID where everyone had to get married right away and had to book their vendors, even though they didn't know if the world was ending or not, but we all had a flood of work coming in.
There's some people still getting married during peak COVID too. You remember those weddings with the face shields and everything? You're like, y'all could have waited one more year and then you didn't have to take wedding party photos with face shields.
They're probably looking back. like, we should have
waited another year.
Masks. Yep.
But how's everyone's inquiry volume looking like?
Inquiries
it's
too
been
bad.
Because it's 2 parts, right? It's your inquiry volume and then your booking conversion rate, right? So let's talk about like inquiry volume first. How's that looking compared to pre-COVID?
I feel like we're still maintaining the usual numbers.
The rate of inquiries is good. It's still the same. Nothing crazy. And to be transparent, last year we had gotten so many inquiries still for 2023, and we turned away a lot for multiple reasons. Mostly we didn't want to work that weekend. We had done 50 weddings a year for 2-3 years during COVID, and we were like, we're not doing this again. So we turned down a lot for 23. So revenue-wise, it's a little bit slower this year because we turned away a lot, and now we're realizing that people for 24 are kind of taking their time, I guess.
They're booking closer to their day?
Closer to their day.
6-9 months.
Yeah.
6 to 9 months. Huh?
That's what we've been seeing, and that's what a friend of ours had told us that he's seeing as well.
6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
So the beginning of the year is always like the booking rush, it was great for us, but in having conversations with other people, it was very slow for them.
Yeah.
So for us, we're on par for 24. Inquiries are still going well. Not a big deal. It's just kind of the conversion rate has dropped down a little bit. So in talking with everyone else, same kind of situation and issue. People that are actually in the same price bracket as us, right? There might be people who are charging less and booking and they're fine. But we're in that middle ground right now where I think people are starting to tighten up their wallets. So that's where we're at.
But the venues are more expensive too.
Yes.
Because they raise their rates. So that might be dipping into their budget, the client's budget, taking money away from us,
The nerve.
But I would say that our inquiry rate was pretty steady up until about, I want to say 3 months ago. June, about 3 months ago, because through March, from January to March,
Yeah.
we booked over 20 some weddings.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went on a hot streak.
Yeah.
But now the inquiry volume has gone down just a little bit. So now we're getting about maybe one every day, one every other day, something like that. I don't think it's an illusion or anything like that. It is noticeable.
I also feel the quality of the leads are like starting to diminish a little bit too. Like we're getting a lot of anniversary leads. We never used to get stuff like that. A lot of proposals.
All right, I'll stop referring them over. Here.
Yeah. It's probably
Anytime
you.
we see one come from Bell now, we're like, not good.
Delete. No.
delete.
Yeah, but it seems like there's, like I said, the inquiries are still there, and even the couples that are scheduling consultations, I would say about like half of the ones that we didn't book were not a good fit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there seem to be now, because we're doing Zoom consultations, it's an easy access for them to meet with photographers or other vendors, opposed to when they were coming into an office and making an effort to get to know you. And now it's a lot more convenient. They could just stay at home, schedule 5 meetings, 5 different photographers. Maybe 3 of them they weren't even really considering, but they'll just
It's easy to get that appointment.
Shopping
So
around.
I feel like we're also seeing that as well, and that's affecting our conversion rates
Do
as
you
well.
think that there's more competition though? The market's a little more saturated after COVID? Because now you have all these photographers who now have a little bit more, a couple of seasons under their belt, you know?
Why?
Because all your lead shooters, they were all booked out with their primary clients, right? And then these clients who were kind of left out in the cold,
They got
had
the
to,
opportunity.
They had to shoot more. These second shooters had to shoot a little bit more, so they got a couple of seasons under their belt. So now they're lead shooters themselves, and then you got all these third shooters and assistants who are now coming into the market, and they have a couple of seasons under their belt as well. How's the volume looking for you?
Volume so it's kind of twofold. When I started working on Shoot With Me, I stopped focusing on growing my photography brand. Stopped maintaining venue relationships like I was prior. A lot of the venues that I was on preferred vendors lists with, they had coordinators who moved on, and if you're not building those relationships with the new coordinators that come, you start getting as many inquiries. So Shoot With Me is the primary reason why my inquiries are down. I mean, it's
You spend less attention with
I spend significantly less attention because my weeks are filled with other things, and I'm not actively trying to grow my photography brand. That being said, my inquiries are significantly down, and it's easy just to kick it to that and say, "Oh, it's not me focusing on my photography business anymore." But it's also because of other things other photographers are experiencing, just with the way the industry is and whatever. My conversion rate is actually higher now than it was at any point. But I think it's because the couples that are actually coming are way more intentional. It's not they're not just getting a referral from a venue and they're like, "Oh, check out Nathan." It's referrals from past clients. It's really strong referrals from venues that I have a relationship with. So,
did you do a rebrand or a recalibration of your brand and process?
Yeah. So I guess a year and a half ago, I was like, "Hey, this is a great opportunity to redo some things with my website." So I had an agency handle that, and it was pretty much from that point on where things kind of tapered off. And I know that I need to at some point schedule time to connect with an SEO expert and just have them put their eyes on my website to make sure that that's not the primary driver. Because I can sit here all day long and say it's because of these other things, but it could just be because I changed my website up and that's the primary thing. But again, I have not put the time and energy to it that I should be if it was my only focus. If Shoot With Me and the other things I have going on completely disappeared and I had to rely solely on wedding photography, I'd have to analyze things and figure that out like ASAP to get things back on track.
How about Carousel?
Carousel killing the game.
Yeah, she's
I
an
think
anomaly.
I feel the same about Nathan, where when I do get an inquiry, I don't have like crazy inquiries. But when I do get inquiries and couples come inquire with me, they know they're gonna book. So
She has a very high closing rate.
We're like they're like 100%. They come in knowing that they're gonna book me. So like I don't even do Zoom. I think I'm the only one that doesn't do Zoom meetings. Like I don't like looking at people in the face when I talk. So I'm usually
Not even me,
I'm like using 99%. Like I'll be like, unless they like request Zoom meeting, I do like, "Oh, can I call you?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." So
Same thing.
yeah, a lot of my clients are, I think for those reasons, they're very chill. I am getting a lot of inquiries for like smaller weddings, like boutique weddings. A lot of my couples don't have bridal parties.
It's a dream, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, they could do first look or not. Like, I don't really mind it.
Wait, you're not doing bridal party composites?
No. Lights? What are lights?
LCF.
What LCF? Yeah. So, and I do get a lot of like city weddings, like boutique hotels. But yeah, most of my clients like know they're gonna like.
They're hot leads.
book me. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? Interesting to your point before, like, because Karis was under your brand, and what you were just talking about people who came in during COVID. Karis is technically one of those people.
They
She's been
came in
shooting
during
for
COVID.
years, but she started her own brand during COVID.
Right.
And now
Now
she's
we're
one of
competing with her. I'm
now
kidding.
we're competing with her. And she's killing the game. So it's true. Like, that's a true life story of like your exact example from before about
Right.
she was able to take advantage of a situation where everyone needed a shooter, and she built her brand and is taking off from there.
Actually, that's precisely it. You know, like people that weren't really lead shooters pre-COVID, now they are. So now you have a lot more entrants. It's not to say that people, if Karis didn't exist, they would come look for me. You know, like.
But there's also a decent amount of photographers that left the industry during that time as well.
Yep.
That is true.
But I think more joined than left. I think.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But I think those people, I think it's all different market too.
Yeah, Karis's market is different from all of ours. I can't. I'm not going to convert her clients. They're not coming looking for me. You know.
They don't want Ben Lau.
Yeah.
And when I do convert Ben's clients, yeah,
The problems.
We know the feeling.
Hey,
Best clients gonna be listening to this.
my clients aren't so bad.
So in your communication with other photographers, everyone's kind of expressing the same
What?
thing as far as like their booking rates and conversions and things right now.
Everyone's sharing with us that their inquiry volume is low,
Yep,
and they're not
very
converting
low.
as
They
much.
said, inquiries very
And they
low.
have a lot of reasons why they blame it. I think the number one reason why people say that everything's low is because of recession. I don't really buy that one. I don't think because people are still spending money. That's the thing. You know what I mean? People are still getting married, especially in the state of New Jersey and New York. Weddings are not going to be cheap. You know.
Yeah.
So you can't say that because the thing is, I'm mentoring people who are at a lower price point as well, and they're not seeing a lot of inquiries either. So it's not necessarily recession.
But
You know?
it could also be just the influx of engagements and new couples planning their wedding. Because there was a lot of people that got stuck together during the pandemic, and that kind of gave them like, oh, you know what? I could live with this person because we were stuck for months together. And there was a whole boom of engaged couples for like a year.
Yep.
I feel like that's coming down to like the normal numbers again.
I think we shot all the COVID couples.
A lot of people who met during COVID.
Yep. they
Yeah,
married. Yep.
a lot
Sure
of
they know.
I
They
can't
got
tell you
married
how
real
many
fast.
how many couples we met that were like, yeah, we just started dating.
Yes.
And then we were quarantined together. I heard that like so many times through the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yep.
People are always gonna like blame external things. They don't
Yeah.
want to. They don't want to look in their business and say, "Hey, you know,
That's true.
there's things that I need to do different to change." The industry, like we've all been doing this for a while, right? It goes through cycles. There are cycles that are due to COVID or whatever, but there are also cycles that are just due to like the industry changing and how many people are coming in. And if you're not willing to change throughout that entire time, you're always going to say, oh, it's because of these new photographers, or it's because of these, you know, this thing or that thing, or it's AI or it's whatever. And you're always going to find an excuse. But like the studios that stay consistent and relevant, they're willing to look inside of themselves and make those changes and, you know, adjust as needed.
Yeah, one of the most important lessons that I learned earlier on my career, you know, I attended, I think it was a wedding show of some sort, bridal showcase or something.
That old photographer.
Yeah, the old photographer. I always
We
talk-
always
I talk about
go
this
back
guy.
to him. Yep.
And he's like, yeah,
Yep.
I've been shooting for 30 years. I was rocking and rolling. I have all the gears. I have the studio and like, you know, but now it's crickets, right? So then we looked at his website. Like, yeah.
He was very amazed. Like this was like when we were booking like 40, 50 weddings. So
It was unheard of. It didn't make
He's
any
like,
sense to him.
What?
I was like, this is my first or second
Yeah,
year.
he was so amazed, and he like invited us over to his house. Come over, like let's have dinner and talk, and yeah. And then we went home. We looked at his website. We're like, he got stuck.
His work was
Yeah,
not that
his
great.
work and everything got stuck in time.
And I
Like,
think
he
part of the
never
reason was
evolved.
he came from that era of film, right? So people that used to shoot on film, you know-
Film's coming back.
Yeah, I know that, but like when
Madly.
when you're shooting film, you have to shoot a certain way because developing film is expensive. So you know what works. You have your go-to poses, your go-to lighting.
There was no like PJ stuff.
There was some PJ, but like it's expensive if you're gonna do
You
PJ.
need to know
wasn't
what
as
you were
much.
doing. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Wasn't as
yeah.
much.
Everything's very posed. You have your go-to poses and go-to everything, right? So he was doing everything that old school traditional way that he'd been shooting since the 70s or whatever. You know what I mean? So when the digital age came about, which gave us a lot of freedom to explore how far we can push this creative envelope, he didn't go along that train, you know. So he didn't adapt, and I think that was probably part of it probably contributed to his downfall.
And they'll blame other things then.
Yeah,
But that
I have another client of mine. Their parents were, or her parents were photographers associated with some of the biggest names in wedding photography in New York City. And they also were doing it for 20, 30 years, right? And they were saying, yeah, we were rocking and rolling. They were like, and then all of a sudden we woke up one morning and the phone stopped ringing, right? And I was like, well, how are you marketing yourself? And this was like in the late 2000s, right? It's like, well, we were paying thousands and thousands of dollars to have our names in the yellow pages.
What's a yellow page?
Right? But the phone stopped ringing. I was like, well,
What's a phone?
we will start using phones.
right? So like I didn't know what to say, you know? I mean, I felt terrible for them, but at the same time we can't poo-poo on them too much because, you know, they
killed
cleared
it
a
for a
path
while.
us.
Yeah, they killed it.
They cleared a path for us so that way we can exist today. You know, they kind of held the fort down and you know,
That's true.
you got to look at it that way. You know what I mean?
So what do you think are the current trends that we have to adapt to now?
We just have to pay attention so that we don't become one of those photographers that are
yeah.
like, hey, you know, yellow pages. I like, you know,
stuck behind in
hey,
time.
I guess, you know, I keyworded for this and it's not working anymore. Well, no shit, you know, that's because nobody does that anymore, you know? So we have to like constantly pay attention to the market, see pay attention to the audience, pay attention to the trends, really listen to the clients, you know, don't do things a certain way because that's how you've been doing it for 20, 30 years. You know, the market's going to change. Your tactics and your strategies are all going to change.
And also you get older and your couple stay the same age, so you have to adapt to that too. Different generations of
That's why I can't do birthday parties anymore. Only the parents are laughing at my jokes. You know, all the kids are just rolling their eyes at me.
yeah. Yeah, we have to start marketing towards a younger generation as well.
You know, one time, let me tell you this joke that I told, right? So it was a teenage flower boy, right? He's like, oh, sir, what should I call you? And I said, you can call me anything you want, but just don't call me Collect, right? It killed, right?
Oh my God.
And the kid
So like,
was
what's
so confused, right? I was like, I don't know why that's funny, right? But it killed my demographic.
This photographer's weird.
Call me Collect, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to like not living in fear constantly of things changing, right? So when trends happen, it's very easy for us to say, like, I haven't been doing it that way. I know it works. Well, you know it works for in the past. You don't necessarily know what's going to work in the future. And if you're so resistant to changing things, whether it's new technology, whether it's like, you know, the all-encompassing AI or whatever, you can freak yourself out and think it's going to like ruin the industry, or you can find out how to embrace it and adapt to those changes. No, it doesn't mean putting like freaking dinosaurs chasing wedding parties in all of your shots.
You hear
to
that,
make
Ben?
it look cool. Yeah.
I don't do dinosaurs, I do cats.
But ultimately, like those changes are coming, and if you're not willing, yeah, exactly. If you're not willing to like roll with that and figure out how to embrace it, you're going to be that get off my lawn guy that goes out of business in a couple of years.
Yep.
It's almost as if you stole a copy of our outline, because I think AI was part of that conversation too, wasn't it?
I don't know.
No.
AI is always part of conversation, I think, these days.
Yeah,
We did an episode
I'm
on
actually
AI.
not here.
Yeah.
This is I'm AI. I'm not here.
You're
Right
a
now.
ger-
His Photoshop beta.
we generative filled that part.
Yep.
Your AI.
AI created.
No, it was no AI thing.
Yeah. But
No, I think we all got used to a couple of years of abundance of like so much work, and then it kind of went back to pre-2020. I think you could say.
So I
And we're
think,
just,
I believe
we
so.
don't know. We're just like forgot.
should we be
I feel like.
scared? And then
Yeah.
I
it's like
remember we
quiet.
were starving for like a year and a half, and then poof, I was like,
Yeah,
remember when I told you guys?
nonstop.
Remember when I told you I was like, guys, I'm done at 35, and I ended up with like almost 50 weddings that year.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know where this came from. It just happened.
Because everyone was inquiring and
Everyone was
looking.
basically throwing money at
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
like
it was
this,
a very
like,
Take it, take it, take it.
very good 2 years.
Yeah.
That will probably never happen again, which is a
Yeah.
good thing
I
and a
don't want
bad
it to
thing.
happen.
But
It was just too much.
It's
too much work.
It was
Yeah.
getting like blasted
But I
in the
think
face.
because we're comparing it to like 2
years
years
of starving.
before this,
Mhm.
like now it's like, oh my gosh, should we be worried? Like, why is it so quiet? Like, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on?
And it also led to a lot of people having record income, like their best year, and now you're going back to like
Yeah.
a regular year, and you're like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
my business is going under right now because
We
I'm
have
not
no
making. Yeah. So it's just you have to readjust. I feel like I think it's too early right now to panic. Too early to
Yeah.
panic.
You're like, man, I shouldn't have sold that above ground pool. I should have kept that sucker.
I should have never did anything to the yard. I'll be in a better place.
Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, they upgrade the Molinas. They upgraded their pool during COVID. It was a very good year for
it
them.
was a very good 2 years. And we adjusted to the lifestyle.
And
Trying to go back is hard.
Yeah. And then this year we had like some stuff that we had to get done as well that are costing more than what we expected. And it's we're not in that place yet where we need to where I need to go out and second shoot all the time.
Get a third job.
Yeah. But we are starting to cut back on traveling at least to just kind of see.
just pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just pump the
Yeah,
brakes on your spending a
and
little
just
bit.
let it coast and see where it takes us.
Yeah. So that's why we're after this episode, we're instead of going to our usual place, we're gonna go eat some like Vietnamese street food. It's a little bit.
Hole in a wall place.
Stack is a little expensive. And I think the only thing you can compare it to is like because of that global event that we had where it was a freak thing where everyone was just like booking like crazy, and now we're coming off of that and seeing where things lie. But
Yeah, if you remember, there was weddings where like typically there's like a 10-15% fall off of like guests that are not going to show up. We shot weddings where every single guest showed up to like right after everything opened up. So everyone was like dying to go out and party and to host an event. And 3 years later, people are just like the dust is starting to settle. And I guess everyone's feels a little worried now because they're like, oh my God, last 2 years were insane.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many masks at weddings these days. It's just a handful here and there.
No masks. Even at hospitals, no one's wearing masks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
We saw it a
doctors,
lot when we were
nurses.
traveling. A lot of people would be
On the airplane.
massive.
Yeah.
Not even just on the airplane, but like in Europe,
Randomly.
different cities and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, listen, you have COVID, and then you have like stuff with recession, just the economy in general, that's completely unrelated to COVID that affects things as well. If people are expecting a major recession, they might be a little bit more, relaxed on their wedding planning.
Yeah, but I mean, back to what you said earlier. I think a lot of people they blame a lot of external factors for the reasons why they're not as busy as they want to be. So before we start blaming all these other things, just find out opportunities within your own business, what you can do to improve. Whether it's your branding, your messaging, any of your processes. And I think that's true during COVID years and non-COVID years. Like, you should always constantly be reevaluating. Take an inventory of what you're doing, making sure that you're staying current with the trends and all that kind of stuff. What else do you want to talk about?
that was it. Anybody else have any other thoughts?
Another potential cause, the real estate market. What's one thing that couples usually do after they get married?
Buy a house.
Buy a house. The housing market is so expensive right now. Interest rates are through the roof. So now couples have to save more money, spend more money to get less. So maybe they are cutting back on, splurging on the wedding day. That could be another possible. Yeah.
My neighbor's house finally sold. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did
It was
it
on the house for,
did it
it's on the
sell for
market 2
asking?
years. Huh?
Did it sell for that?
660.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
660. Oh, so
Online.
they raised the price, huh? Yeah, it was when they put it on the market, it was for 840, right?
Almost
And it was like 2 years ago.
$180,000
It was
less.
2 years ago.
Because
right?
the house next to it sold.
For 700.
Yeah,
like
700.
yeah,
seven
Almost
something,
800.
right?
Yep.
It's like, well, my house is prettier than that one, so I'm going to sell it for
I saw that
800.
episode.
Dude, you have so much stuff going on in your house that they need to get fixed. Anyway, we got a new neighbor now. I haven't met him yet.
Yeah.
So funny. So Karis was waving at someone who was driving by, and the neighbor thought that she was waving at the this new neighbor and stuff. So the new neighbor just started waving really happily
I
back
was
at
like,
Terrace.
oh, hi.
We'll have to go over there and say hi sometime.
I don't think it should be anything we should be worried about. Right?
Not yet.
It's just back to normal. I think
Is
this is the normal. This is the norm.
That's the normal. Yeah.
There is a little bit of inflation.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a recession, I think, right? But I don't think it's necessarily negatively impacting our bookings necessarily. I don't think that's the reason why.
But I think wedding industry is, people will spend money on your wedding. That's like one thing. So I think we are in an industry where it's like pretty recession proof. So
or recession resistant.
Yeah.
And depending on what market you serve, some markets might be more prone to.
They may do smaller weddings, and but
they'll still pay for you to be there.
Vendors, they will pay for it.
So what's today's hot topic, Ro?
It's about tipping your wedding vendors.
Uh-huh.
So someone in a group posted. It was
that's what I
It's
posted.
your
Yeah,
wife.
yeah.
I was like, wait a second. I was like, I posted
No,
that.
I didn't post a question,
So
but I
do
sent
you-
it to you guys.
Do you
I forgot
want
about that. Yeah.
take it over?
So this was the post from someone that will not be named. So my fiance and I are struggling with the concept of tipping the vendors, in quotations, at our wedding. I certainly don't want to sound like a jerk, but the venue includes gratuities in the price. The band, they are their own entity. Who and why tip them. The florist, she owns her business and is the person doing the setup. The photographer, she owns her own business and is doing the shoot. The officiant, religious with a steep price, he is on his own. He gets all the money. Am I being unreasonable by saying no to tipping? Thoughts?
I never expect a tip. They're always appreciated, but they're always appreciated. They're never expected. I would say, let's say, out of 10 weddings, I probably get tipped maybe at 3 or 4 of them. I mean, if I have any clients listening, listen, if you want to tip me, that's totally fine, right? But when I do get tipped, it could range anywhere between $100 to like $200. Yeah. Sometimes if they're feeling super generous, I've gotten as high as, actually the biggest tip I ever got was the timeshare for a week at Disney. That was pretty sick. Awesome. Right? But
she wasn't even our wedding client.
Yeah, she was a family client.
She was the sister of our bride.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
I'll take it.
yeah, I was like, yeah, you just got to pay for my way down there, and but you can take our timeshare. I was like, I'll take it, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't expect a tip, and then if you don't want to tip my second shooters or my assistant, that's fine too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tip if you want. If it's in your budget, go tip. If you don't, that's fine too. The only thing that I do ask is that you feed us. That's all. But I think most venues usually take good care of us, so I don't worry about that too much.
I think we get so wrapped up in the concept of like you have to do 20, 25%.
20% is a lot.
For everybody.
lot, yeah.
And like that's like the the standard for the service industry. But if you're already paying them thousands of dollars, at least if you out of the kindness of your heart want to give $50, that's fine.
Can you imagine?
20% off of like a $7,000
20%
collection is
would
a
be
lot.
Let's take a $5,000 job, right?
Yeah.
20% is $1,000.
Yeah.
They're not tipping you $1,000.
Yeah, I think that's what people get wrapped in their head, and that's why they're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna tip
Yeah.
because then I gotta give 20%, and it's like
No.
a ridiculous
That's like-
amount."
yeah.
But people have tip fatigue right now. Like you
Yes.
can't go get takeout and they hand you the thing and it's
iPad.
like, oh, do you
iPad,
want?
yeah.
Do you want to
Yep.
tip? And it's like you feel like an idiot if you don't do it.
Right,
Just right. run me
Or,
up.
or Starbucks or wherever it is, everybody wants you to tip. And you go to the grocery store and they're like, "Would you like to round up for this thing or that thing?"
I
It's
don't.
like,
Do you know what-
dude, like I have
I don't
other
round
things
up either.
I contribute money to. Like I don't need to be asked in a million different places. So then when they get to their wedding, it's the same thing. They're like, dude, is this a thing? Is this the obligation or do I?
No, as an owner operator, I don't think that it's mandatory to tip.
No.
Yeah, but I feel like if you feel you got exceptional service, and a tip is always welcome. It makes you feel good about the service that you provided, and I feel like if it's enough for me to go out to dinner one night, it's awesome. Like it doesn't have to be an insane amount of money, or nothing at all. I'm okay with
Or a
either
box
as well.
of cigars.
Yeah. There was a wedding where they had like 3 boxes of cigars out for the and the groom was giving me a box. I was like, I'm not gonna smoke all of these, man. Like they're just gonna go bad. I don't have anywhere to store them. He was like, come on, take. I was like, no, it's fine.
You
But
get random things as tips too, which is nice. A bottle of wine or like you said, a cigar.
But if they really want to show their appreciation for what we were able to do for them, there's 2 things that they can do. They can write us a nice review, right? And then they can also refer us. I think that to me is worth more
Those
than
are the
$200.
best. Yep.
Heck yeah.
It's
Refer
worth
us.
more than $200 that you were planning to give me.
Shout out our names.
I'd rather they spend the money on their album.
Yes, correct.
Get an album.
Right.
Print your photos.
Yes.
With us,
Yeah,
not
but
Shutterfly.
I never know what to say when they ask us, "Hey Ben, should we tip you?" And I was like, "How much should we tip you? What's customary?" I was like, I don't know how to answer that question.
Whatever is the kindness of your heart.
I don't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in Venice, the guy who like takes your hand to get off the gondola wanted
Yeah.
to tip.
He was the only guy
serious?
in the entire time we've gone to Europe that was like expecting a tip, like literally asked for it. I was like, this is very American of him.
Yeah.
Hey, did
like,
you guys
they
did you
don't
guys
do
speak in
this.
Spanish? I told you guys to.
We did both.
We did both.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just stuck with Spanish, right? I think you guys would have been okay.
So my best friend's husband tried doing that the entire trip, and some people would look at him funny. So I told him, "Don't talk Spanish.
Can you
Just
imagine?
practice your Italian."
Can you imagine if the other person they spoke Spanish to?
Some people did.
There was one time where we went to get gelato, and he ordered in Spanish, and the woman that works there looks at him and answers him in English. I don't understand you. I'll just talk to her in English.
Karis and I, did we get harassed? Did we get harassed in Italy or any time we travel to Europe?
The one thing I noticed, the tour guys didn't expect a dime.
They did
for
not or
tip.
did?
They did not. They would leave before you even get a chance to like give them money.
Really?
Yeah.
When we went to Stockholm,
Yeah, they expected a tip.
she
wanted a tip.
yeah, she wanted a tip. She legit
And it was
said,
it was
and she,
electronic,
had,
too.
she even had a card machine. Like,
Yeah, that's the way it was in London. But when we were in France, same thing. When you get the bill at the end of the night, there's nowhere to even put a tip unless you have cash on you. We went through the
Yeah.
entire trip without having to touch a piece of physical money. We just used our card everywhere.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're in good
Stockholm
shape.
is all cashless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're very American. We always leave a tip out there.
What's that?
We get that guilt trip when we're
No, I
overseas.
don't.
We're like,
well,
we gotta leave a tip.
I try to leave a couple euros of like, but I try not to go overboard.
Yeah, they don't expect 20% there for sure.
We went to this great restaurant in Iceland, and what they do with their tips is they pool it, and then at the end of the year, they go on like a group
The whole
team trip.
the whole
That's cute.
restaurant.
Yeah.
The whole restaurant, all the
If you
staff
trust
will
the
go.
owners, you trust
Save
the
it.
owners to do the right thing.
Yeah, they pool it all together and
That's cute.
take a
I'm
trip.
sure they count it each night and like record it.
So what's the verdict? Like, what should we tell this bride?
I say 20% is excessive.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you
it'll
want
be,
to.
Yeah.
it'll be crazy if you
They're
get 20%.
not going to say no to it,
Yeah.
right?
But I think $100, $200, right?
I think 100, 200
Yeah,
is very,
100,
it's very
200
nice.
is, I think.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
good.
And if above your vendors, at least definitely take care of the wait staff. Because honestly, we don't know what the venue is doing behind the scenes or not, if they are really taking care of them. So if they're serving you, take care of them
the
there.
wait staff is on hourly or like
But
wedding,
even
rate.
if you leave a
But they don't get the gratuity that they charge you for, right?
no, the
They-
gratuity is for the
For
maitre
them,
d.
I think,
Yeah,
yep.
the maitre d.
so you don't even
Usually-
know. I don't think wait staff even gets
no,
to it. It's,
they
it's
don't.
venue.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
hmm
It's probably
Most
venue.
Make sure you
venues.
get something
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
The gratuity is for the
Probably
maitre d.
management, like bridal attendant, maybe.
Oh.
And then bridal attendants sometimes get extra. Like the bride and grooms take care of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tip the
but-
bartenders, please.
Yeah.
All right.
bartender.
Okay. So that was your
That was our topic.
hot topic. All right. This is my sales and marketing. Okay. This segment is brought to you by Shoot With Me. All right.
Thank you.
So I didn't actually get to cover this last night, right? This was one of the topics I was going to cover. All right. So we have a videographer, wedding videographer, wants to know whether or not it's in good taste to pass on that credit card fee to clients. You know, there's like a 3% merchant services fee or whatever it is. Anytime you process credit cards, right? And he's like, "What do you do?" You know, I was like, "Well, you know, I do what I do. You do whatever you want to do." I was like, "Well, what do you think?" And he's like, "Well, I feel like it might seem a little unprofessional if I were to pass on this 3% onto the clients, right? Because, you know, you look at all these other luxury brands out there, Louis Vuitton, even Expedia, Apple, you know, they don't charge it the 3%. You know what I mean? But on the other hand, we're small businesses. Our profit margins are really small. You know what I mean? We're not LV.
Most restaurants are giving you a cash
price?
price now
Mhm.
and a credit card fee price, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere I go, I'm seeing it.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's what he wants to know, and that's the sales and marketing thing. I don't know. You guys want me to answer it,
mean,
or you guys
you-
want to give me your input? You want
You do what you do, and we'll tell you what we do.
So
you want to go first?
I don't mind sharing what we do.
So I'll share with you guys what I do, right? So I told James, listen, as far as what we do, we pass on that fee to our clients because our margins are pretty slim already as it is, and also just looking at our volume, I remember the moment that I decided that I was going to pass on this fee to the clients because, let's say, out of $100,000, okay, out of 6 figures, that's very attainable for most photographers. I think most wedding photographers, right?
3% of that.
3% is $3,000. So you're shooting a whole wedding just for this stupid credit card fee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why are you going to give the bank this free $3,000?
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't want to give to the bank that free money. Because the thing is, 15 years ago, I asked for a business loan for not that much, okay? I went to like 50 banks in 30 days to ask for a business loan, and they all said no, right? So I don't want to give them any free money.
Well, they're still getting it, whether you.
I don't want to give them free money, okay? So anytime I have an opportunity not to give them money, I'm not giving them money, okay? So from a personal standpoint, that's why I try to steer our clients away from doing credit card transactions. But I understand that sometimes, and other photographers will probably chime in, other business owners will also chime in, that, when you give your clients the opportunity to charge it, they don't have to pay it right this second. They pay the interest on it or the minimum payment on it. They're more willing to spend more with you, right? So that could actually help you get the sale, okay? But just looking at how our business has been running for the last 13 plus years, it hasn't really affected our closing rate because we pass on that
And then
fee.
I think it's fewer and fewer credit
asking?
card. Yeah, credit
Well,
card.
that's because we tell them there's a fee. If we said that, hey, listen, there's no fee, you can pay by credit
No,
card, I
I-
bet you that there will be more credit card transactions.
Yeah, but the fee's not even that much.
Yeah.
Like
3%?
It's like
Well,
$70.
Oh, the way we do it, we allow them to pay their retainer.
No, we don't.
Oh, not anymore. Sorry.
Sorry, my husband likes to always give false information for those listening.
we did it for a while.
But we had so
Right.
1 year I think we had like $12,000 in bank fees and
Yeah,
credit
we were
card
like,
fees. I was like,
fuck that.
This
Yeah,
is ridiculous.
I'm not
There's
paying
You
that
know
no
what I
again.
can do
way.
with 12 grand?
I don't care if you think I look like a cheap brand
can
for
pay my
doing it,
taxes.
but I am charging the percent because this is $12,000 that
Why
could have
are
been
we
in my
swallowing
pocket.
it? Yep,
Why am I
yep,
eating it?
Yep.
No. So we were like, all right, we'll just do the retainer because it's a lower cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we brought it down to like 7,000 or something. I was like, you know what? Never mind. Forget it. Getting rid of it completely. Zelle has changed everything.
Mhm.
People have no problem doing it. It is a slight inconvenience if they have like a limit where they can only send like 2,000 a day or something like that. But no one's complained. No
Some
one's
banks
had
don't do
no
it.
problem.
TD doesn't do Zelle.
Yeah, there's
And
some
I've
banks that have no limit.
They write me a check.
Capital One
I'm
doesn't
sorry.
either.
There's some people that are like, I would never have my client sign a check. Who uses checks anymore? If they want to pay me, they will use a check. They'll find a way.
we get checks in the mail all the
They
time.
get checks in the mail all the time.
Yeah.
If they want you and they want your service, they'll pay you whatever way you
Whatever-
want to be paid.
yeah, mhm.
So I'm very passionate about it because I saw it on Facebook one time.
There was a recent, not that recent, in Speakeasy about this, and there was a couple of people. There's just the cost of doing business. You should build it into your price because it looks sleazy when you're telling the client, but you could run your business however you want. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur.
That's
And
my
I think
argument,
it's
too.
way more common now. Like we mentioned, you go to a restaurant, they charge you the fee. You go wherever that takes a credit card, they're like, well, just let you know it's going to be 2.9% or whatever the
Yeah.
percentage they want to charge you. So it's more common. So if everywhere else can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, for a while in the state of New Jersey, you couldn't do this. It was illegal for you to charge the
Right.
3%,
Yep.
right? I think it was 2016 or something like that.
Yeah,
They changed the
they
rules.
changed it. Yep.
But people still had a workaround to that, So you have your regular price. You can pay by credit card. You can pay whatever you want to pay. But if you pay by cash or credit or check, I can give you a small discount. So like that's how
The
gas
3%.
stations. Yeah, it's basically 3%. So
Yeah.
so gas stations were doing this, saying, hey, this is my regular price, but if you pay me in cash, it's 3% off.
They still do it. They still do it.
Yeah. So like they're not telling you they're charging you a fee. They're just telling, hey, there's a discount if you.
Yeah, because we're not eating that fee. We could pass that discount to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've only had like 1 or 2 people still want to pay with a credit card, and we're fine with the fee.
Yeah.
Because it's like $80, $100. They're like, hey,
They
it's
rather
worth it to
points.
them to like if they're using the points or whatever.
Especially if
that's
they're like
okay.
late on their final payment or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pay this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast.
But there's also another risk when you have credit card payments and stuff. They can reverse the charges. We have some folks. They receive the product already. They receive the services already, and then they reverse the charges. What do you do, right?
Yeah, there's also a limit on that
Limit to what?
of time. Like some credit cards will have like you can't come back a year later and do it.
Of course.
Some credit cards will allow you to, some don't. I think
It
it's like a
has-
6 month,
It has
6
to be
month.
reasonable why you want it.
And they'll investigate it too.
Yeah,
course,
you
yeah.
deliver the gallery, and then like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I never
They'll
got the photos.
investigate it. So like they will probably take the money back right away. But
And then
You'll
And
eventually
then-
get it back.
hopefully, if all goes well, and you can prove that they're scamming
Yeah,
you.
but Zelle, once they pay you, it's there. It's in there.
Right, that's another reason too.
It's a little bit more business friendly. Zelle is, you know, but it also can open up the door for a lot of hijinks, a lot of bad players. You know,
Stay away from PayPal.
Yeah.
They always side with the buyer.
oh yeah.
So yeah, if people are still like taking payments via
What about
PayPal,
Stripe?
I learned that years ago.
Stripe is just a credit card
processing.
processor. So that's different. But Venmo and PayPal are going to operate very similarly.
Well, we don't use Venmo, but we use. Okay, all right, good to know.
Same like Cash App as well.
All right, I'll have to take a look at Stripe. Maybe integrate that because right now we do credit card transactions through PayPal, but so far we haven't had too many issues.
Yeah, I think Stripe their fee went up too. No,
No.
It's all the same. It's all around 3%. But like out of the, let's say we do about 100 weddings a year. I think we only have maybe 3 to 5 credit card transactions. We don't do too many credit card transactions.
yeah,
I take it for the retainer because it's
Easy.
It's
$1,200
easy, yeah.
for my retainer, and it's super easy. It's a little bit of money. It's whatever. But then for the final payment, it's a check. And if they insist on paying with a credit card, then it's a 3% fee.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's not sleazy.
No.
I don't know if people say
No,
it's
and it's in
sleazy.
the contract. Like they see it the
Yeah.
whole time. It's fine.
I tell you what, all the contractors that I had to pay in the last 2 years, none of them accepted credit card. Not one.
Sold by Zelle, right?
Yeah, it's all Zelle.
Check
Check Zelle.
Cash.
or bank transfer. The only ways you could pay them. The only thing they took credit card was your deposit.
Yeah.
So that's our answer, Mr. James.
You do what works for you.
You do what works for you, but we're telling you what we do. This, you got 16 years in the business, 13 years in the business, and what are you guys, 12 in?
I don't even
12,
know.
13 in? You guys started around the same time we
yeah.
did.
Yeah, about 12.
Yeah, 12, 13
Yeah.
years in. So these are the people over 30 plus years in the business, okay? We're
This is
charging,
the
we're
way.
passing the 3%. But maybe, are we the dinosaurs?
Oh no.
Actually, we're not because we were the ones taking credit card payments for a while.
No,
Which
but
is
now
modern.
we're
You guys might be the dinosaurs, right?
That's a lot of money to be coughing up in fees.
Yeah, 12 grand,
Yeah.
you know?
That hurt.
And
You know how much
the
bigger of a
argument,
pool that you could have gotten?
the argument of building it into the price, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Then you're charging them one way or another.
Yeah.
So
But they're saying that like it
perception.
looks
Sleazy.
it looks better. You know,
You're-
well, it makes them feel sleazy, or it looks sleazy to the client.
they say that it looks sleazy if you tell the client it's 3% more for it to use a credit card.
Then just raise your prices by 3% and just say, hey, I accept credit cards.
So that's what some of the people in the post were saying. Just raise it and build it in, and then you don't have to mention it. You say, yeah, you could pay with this. It's already
Whatever.
yeah, and then charge it.
And what about
It's the
people
same
that-
way as like if you shoot a wedding in a city, and then you invoice your client $60 for
travel.
parking after. That should be built into your price. Like you
Right.
shouldn't have to.
Itemize it.
Yeah.
And like nickel and dime them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like I said, I see it both ways. Just do whatever you want. It's your
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You remember that $16 sandwich I had to pay for? Right? I'll never forget it. If you wanted me to cover your lunch, right? Just build it into your price. I had a second shooter. I don't know if you heard this episode, right? I had a second shooter. It's like, I was like, it's a little slow right now. Go out for lunch. And she came back. She gave me the receipt. She wanted to be reimbursed for
No,
it.
she actually mailed the receipt to us.
Like
Later.
reimburse us for
reimburse-
$16.
I never
like
got it.
$16 hamburger.
Never work with her again.
Yeah.
So furious.
We should write these stories on Shoot With Me.
Yeah.
And have a little
How
blog
not
entry.
to get hired again.
That's like
As a
just an
second
emotional
shooter.
intelligence thing. It's like, if the lead shooter tells you, hey, give me receipts for parking and tolls or whatever, that's one thing.
Right.
If you're like, hey, go take a break or whatever,
Uh-huh.
it's like, are they telling you to go get a sandwich, go get lunch, and then give me the receipt, or are they saying just go do this and whatever?
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I misunderstood the assignment. Yeah, I didn't get it.
I feel like only in this type of industry you get away with stuff like that.
Rolando, it's okay. I put the E next to our podcast. You can curse as much as you want. Senor Flores said it was okay.
Yeah,
He said we should curse more.
Yeah, he said, it's fucking bullshit.
Well, on that note.
This is a pretty short episode today. I like these short ones.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
good. Quick topics.
Yes.
It's perfect.
So-
Quick and easy.
Who's closing?
Nathan should close.
All right, guys. So anyway, that just wraps up another episode of the Focus They Have podcast. If you guys would like to check out some bloopers, behind the scenes, highlights, stuff like that, you guys can check us out on Instagram at focused.af. You can also check us out on our website at focus-af.com. Don't ask me why that is. That's just how we got the domains. And if you guys would like to meet all of us, plus Nathan in person, you can.
Don't you dare put my address on here.
You guys can meet us in person at the Focused AF Summit, taking place next January 11th at the Bellworks building.
Hometown, New Jersey.
You can catch us at Bellworks in Homedale, New Jersey, and where you can learn more about sales and marketing, how to take your business to the next level. Are you done?
What? Yes, I've been done.
All right,
I'm so
anyway, guys,
hot.
are you guys focused AF? I'm focused AF. Anyway,
Yes,
guys, thank you so much
bye.
thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the next one. My name is Ben.
Karis.
Jen.
This is Ro.
Adios. Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams, Ben and Karis.
And Jen and Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am Focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be Focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.